Good evening, I'm Kurt Gutgsell. We continue our previews of high school sports as the fall approaches. Today we check in with Scott Yarborough and the Jasper boys tennis program. Year in and year out, the Wildcats are a state perennial power. It's been a weird offseason for sports, dating back to last spring when all the pandemic and such hit. Scott Yarborough takes a look at what they have had to go through with all that was happening.
We probably, from a sport, just comparing sports to sports, probably haven't been affected by it as much as maybe some others. We got some protocol from actually USTA, so our summer's a little bit different. We fall under some different rules also along with what's going on at the high school. So we were shut out of the high school facilities like everybody else, but we managed to put together some USTA clinics the first 2 weeks in June, or the middle 2 weeks in June. We kind of followed the bylaws about what the city was doing with baseball and some other sports and softball. The pool open, so we used the 10th Street courts for about 2 weeks, brought kids in for about an hour. So we probably got our sport started a little sooner than others. And then July 6th, we opened up tennis camp, 210 kids. Said a little prayer probably every night about trying to not, hoping some kid. But we managed to run 4 weeks of our tennis camp from 3-year-olds up to 18-year-olds without any issues that I know of. Nobody reported back. Tennis probably lends to a little more social distancing. So from that standpoint, it was probably a little easier. We could spread kids out. Our facility allows us to spread the kids out. We use the parking lot for the little kids. So I'd say we're behind, but maybe not as behind as some others. So we benefited from the city working with us a little bit and kind of jumping back and forth between 10th Street and our facilities here.
With the boys season coming up, what was the biggest obstacle of all this dealing with the high school kids?
Here's the thing, and I think people have caught on to this. I think who they spend time with and who they're hanging out with outside of your sport. I think as a coach, I'm not so worried, and I've talked to other coaches that we're not so worried about when they're hanging around us. And I'm not blaming the people they're hanging around, but you don't know who they've been hanging around and who they've been hanging around. So I was more worried about vacations and trips to Nashville and trips to Hilton Head and trips to Florida, party maybe here or a gathering there or something like that. So it's something that you can't control. I mean, you can't tell your kids to sit at home and not do anything. I mean, I think I'm kind of the believers that we need to kind of get back in the pool and go. I think we need to get back to going back to normalcy. I think you're going to have some kids get COVID. I'm sure I'll catch a little flack for saying that, but I think eventually that it's one of those things that we're going to have to learn to live with. It sounds like our at least my administrators and our school corporation has got an idea of how we're going to approach this from a community and a school, and I think we've got a great plan to do that. From a sporting standpoint, I think each coach is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I've got friends in other places. I know the coaches at Southridge, and I know the coaches at Du Bois and Forest Park and other places. I've talked to coaches up in Indy. I think Indy's a little more on the glass half empty just because of everything that's going up there. Where I've talked to some other coaches that are pretty positive about what's going on. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting how this plays out. I hope for the kids' sake that this keeps rolling in a good direction.
What kind of team do you think you'll have?
Well, that's kind of why we're hoping this rolls into a positive. We got 6 of our 7 back, and not only with 6 of our top 7, but we probably got 9 of our top 10 back. A team that finished top 15 in the state last year, lost a tough match in the semi-state. We bring back 7 seniors. We bring back 2 really good juniors, and then a couple other young ones to go with them. So selfishly, we would like to play this season because we feel like this. So this will be my 18th year at Jasper, and this is going to be one of the deepest teams I've coached, just from the standpoint that if we lose a kid here because possibly of a COVID, or we lose a kid because of an injury or whatever, we've got a good handful of kids that could step right in and probably not miss a beat in that standpoint. This is a season we've kind of looked forward to. We knew last year getting knocked out in the semi-state what we would have coming back. So a lot of people got their fingers crossed and hoping this season. So we're pretty optimistic about the type of team we'll have and where we'll stand against the teams across the state.
You mentioned across the state. What's the landscape like here in southern Indiana? You just kind of sit right in the middle. You got the Evansville pocket, you got the Floyd, New Albany, the Bloomington to the north. What's it look like here in southern Indiana?
Well, so the people I've talked to are all cautiously optimistic. I think the one thing that you run into that we don't run into, your Evansville schools are governed by the EVCS system. So you've got one group of people making a decision for 6 or 7 schools. New Albany and Floyd are kind of in the same boat. But I've talked to the coaches. They're all up and practicing. They're all excited about what's going on. I got some friends that are new coaches for the first time too. Got a buddy down in Evansville Day School that's going to coach for the first time, and he's excited about what's going on. I think the one thing that concerns us a little bit is if it comes to the time where some things start getting canceled, I would hope they would look at each sport individually, which obviously is a little bit selfish on our point, just because tennis lends to a little bit more of social distancing than other sports. I hope football plays. I hope soccer plays. I hope cross country plays. I hope volleyball plays. I hope they all get a play. But I hope we just don't. I hope it's just not an all for one if things head in the wrong direction. I think if the public though is starting to understand this a little bit better. I think we got people. I know the numbers in Du Bois County have gone up a little bit, but I think we're starting to understand that this is controllable if we just make some better decisions as far as, maybe not hanging around people as often. I told my kids the other day, when you're hanging out in a group, too close for 6 feet for 15 minutes, get up and move around. Yeah. Go outside and go for a walk. Or if you're sitting there playing video games, go up and go to the bathroom. Go get a drink of water. Do something different. Try to make some smart decisions. Same thing when I told them about school and things like that. Try to be smart about the decisions you're making. Don't drink after people from a water jug. We're still hand sanitizing. We're still taking temperatures. We're trying to do everything that we can do to keep these kids healthy. So we're trying.
Competition-wise with those schools that I mentioned here in Southern Indiana, what do you think about that?
Right now it looks pretty good. So obviously we're joining a new era here at Jasper High School with the SIAC. So we're going to have some matches we've never played before. We opened the season with Mater Dei and Evansville Central. Can't remember the last time we played them in boys tennis. But you're going to have a couple nice teams out of Evansville. I'm going to say that Castle and Wrights, again, they were kind of the two dominant teams last year down that way. Both excited about the seasons they've got coming up. Wrights actually has a new coach. And then down towards the New Albany, Floyd Central way, Jeffersonville is going to have a nice squad. New Albany always puts a good team out there, and actually Floyd Central will be pretty good. We will see all of those schools, even though our schedule has changed because of our invites on the weekends. We will see a lot of those schools. With the SIAC, tennis just adopted, we're going to play every team once. Right. So our conference standings will be determined by our head-to-head matches. So some of those will be on the road. Some of those will get a chance to play at home. But some new rivalries hopefully starting up there.
That's Jasper boys tennis coach Scott Yarborough with the Wildcats. I'm Kurt Gutgsell. Stay tuned. We'll have more WJTS 18 news right after this.